Hello guys, it's Junker here doing another Bakugan video. This time we actually have a special video. This will be my BakuTech collection. I've been wanting to do this video for a while, but I was finishing up getting some stuff, which I just did an unboxing on the last thing I needed recently, but anyway. I also wanted to wait till today because it is June 30th. So basically, on June 30th of 2015, I rediscovered BakuTech and made my first big order, which is what sparked all of the BakuTech videos I've made since. So I felt like I should probably do something special for that, and I figure a collection video is a good way to do it. Now before I start, I just want to say that nothing here is for sale or trade. This is all my collection that I've amassed over the past decade. So that said, let's go and start the collection, and I will kind of go in segments, hopefully it makes sense, but I'll explain them as we go. So first up, we just have my kind of extra stuff. I figured I'd at least show this. We just have the kind of regular sextagonal parts right there, the plastic sizetagonal parts right there, and then if you bought the Rise deck and the Hollow deck, you get the same piece, so only one will be in use and the other one just kind of a spare part right there. Then we have all of the Dragon Rings. We have the one from the Dragon deck, these two from the Friendship Bind set and the God 3 deck, they're the same, and then this last one here is from the Battlefield Kwami set. So let's go and move on to kind of another weird category before we get into the BakuTech, but this one is still, I think, pretty cool. Alright, so here we have all of the entry set Bakugan from New Vestroya. So we have Cross Dragonoid, Helios Mark II, Master Ingram, Knight Percival, Minx Elfin, and Blast Elico. Again, these aren't BakuTech, but I feel like they always felt like a prelude to BakuTech. They are Japan exclusive and are much more detailed than typical Bakugan from regular Legacy before we got to BakuTech. So I figured they'd at least be worth showing, but now let's get into the actual BakuTech stuff. Alright, so now we have a really messed up setup because my table's only so big, so apologies if you see any background stuff. But anyway, this awkward setup here contains all of the pre-Season 1 Bakugan from BakuTech. So basically, BakuTech ran as a manga for quite a while until the anime showed up, and these are all the Bakugan that came out during that time. So of course we have our originals here with Flare Dragon, Destroy Minicus, Keolanus, and Van Falco. Then we have some others like Grand Panzer, Diocivic plus Savic, St. Aquis, and Bland Shelt. Then our first two evolutions with Grendragon and Zero Minicus. Then we have the two Bakugan from the Battlefield set, Zack Jagard and Killer Volca. And then the rest. Gavlanicon, Gigantoras, Hammer Cannon, Flame Eagle, Bone Skulls, and G Ganorada. It's a pretty nice lineup, but of course I do also have a ton of recolors, so let's go ahead and look at those. So here are the recolors from pre-Season 1, at least the ones that I have. So do a few Flare Dragons. We have the one from the Battle Master set, the Perfect Stand set, and the Dragon Legends set. Also, Destroy Minicus from the Battle Master set. A couple Keolanuses from the Perfect Stand set and the Hybrid deck. A couple Van Falcos from the Battle Master set and the Hybrid deck. A couple of Grand Panzers. We have one from the Perfect Stand set, and this one here is actually from one of those blind bags, so that's interesting, I guess. Moving on, we have a couple St. Aquises. We have this one from the Hybrid deck and this one from the Super 5 set. We have a few Grendragons. So this one here is actually the regular version. It just has the incorrect souls, specifically these Zero Minicus souls. I just happened to get this one, so I figured I'd put it here. This one here is from the Battlefield set, although I did specifically buy the re-release, the Rise 4 set, which I will show why later. And lastly, the other one here is from the Dragon Legend set. And finally, I have a couple G Ganoradas, this one here from the Super 5 set, and then this one is of course from the Champion deck. So let's go ahead and move on to the actual first season of BakuTech and the mainline Bakugan from that. And here's everything from Season 1 in original colors. So first up we have the Shadow deck Bakugan that kind of started things off. We got a couple re-releases around this time as well to kick off Season 1. But technically these were the first brand new Bakugan, of course, with Wild Gallo, Borg Mahesis, and Acro Gizzard. We also have the promo version of Gyvjinryu, which is technically the original version as well. Then we have the Rise deck, with Rise Dragon, Gus Burnin, and Nada Nagina. The Hollow deck, with Hollow Minicus, Shanazchi, and Michael Laurel. Then we have Twin Dobru. The Shield deck, with Shieldanus, Gravity Gnome, and Daifujo. The Wind deck, with Windmill, Hagoriguma, and Dagger Otis. Then just a few more normal Bakugan, with Trifalco, Kachiagel, Budagil, and Size Tavanel. And of course, another promo Bakugan, and the most recent addition to this collection, which is what finally allowed me to actually make it, Sextagonal. So there's everything, and now, of course, I will do the recolors as well. Alright, so not nearly as many. I believe they were just a lot less regardless, but a lot of the recolors from this era are from the blind bags, which I just never really cared to get. But of the ones that I do have, we start off with, well, Gallo from the Super 5 set, Give Shinryu from the Champion deck, and we have a ton of Rise Dragons here. So first up we have the one from the Rise 4 set, which is why I mentioned preferring the Rise 4 set as a re-release opposed to the original Battlefield set. The others are of course from the Super 5 set, Champion deck, and Dragon Legends set. We also have Holomonicus from the Super 5 set, and then Size Tavenel and Sex Tavenel from the Tavenel Gekito set. So with these out of the way, let's go ahead and move on to BakuTech Gachi, the second season of BakuTech, and technically the largest line. And here is everything from BakuTech Gachi. So we start off with the Go deck, Gogaryu, Kalukin, and Warcry. Then we have Gogaryu's counterpart, Giga-Horus. A few regular releases here with Nino Show, Tornado, and Buried Beyond. We have the Dragon deck with Dragon Dragon, Let's Go, and Glide. The Jabba deck with Jabafudo, Sea Slug, and Actgile. A couple more regular releases with Nagadaja and Yoranja 4. The Sansu deck with Sansu Holobos, Ken Panzer, and Kotanker. The Griff deck with Ogre Leonis, Lashafalco, and Gunicarus. And our final few releases with Ozpress, Zeta Municus, and Maid Last Boss. And there you have BakuTech Gachi, the largest line. Yes, there are a lot of deck fillers here, though you could say that about Season 1 as well. But yeah, this is everything. Well, kind of. And here we have Jarathron. Jarathron is the sole deca of BakuTech, and the only ever deca to have its own original design. This was released during BakuTech Gachi, and is kind of part of the main line, I would say, as it is its own design, but it is a weird one, and definitely needed its own space to be shown. I was running out of space as is, there was no S putting this thing in the shot. But anyway, let's go ahead and move on to some BakuTech Gachi recolors. So these are all the Gachi recolors that I have. The only two normal ones here are Giant Dragon and Zeta Municus. These are both from the Friendship Bind set. Then we have a weird one, Bujin Dragon. I was debating on whether or not to put this with the mainline Bakugan or not, because Bujin is a unique piece, but I don't think it quite warrants that title, but it is still something worth having in the collection for sure, but it's just kind of an oddball. And then moving on to the rest, we have Jabba Dragon, Gofudo, and Jigen Garyu. These three are from the God 3 set, and all of them were released with unique binds, compared to the original versions of course, just kind of being swapped around. And that's it for Gachi and technically BakuTech, but of course there is one more category that I should probably show. And here's everything from Bakugan Armors. Armors was effectively the successor to BakuTech, although it was fairly short-lived, only having these 7 releases. And they are, of course, Rekahiryu, Shibuseku, Hadokayo, Ikitosen, Oganhao, Kappakudaku, and Yasha Tagaris. And that is everything in my collection. So that's it, my entire BakuTech collection. In case you're wondering how the hell I got all this stuff, no, I'm not rich, and no, I'm not bankrupt. Basically, BakuTech used to be very cheap back in the day. I mentioned starting in 2015, and that's kind of just how I got everything. They used to be pretty cheap. A lot of Japanese sellers at the time were just trying to get rid of stock since BakuTech had ended fairly recently at the time, and a lot of stuff, especially gachi stuff that's very expensive nowadays, was just cheap back then. So basically, I just got lucky. I was in the right place at the right time. With that said, that's everything. However, I didn't get my first BakuTech package until July 7th of 2015, so I also want to do a special video for that, so stay tuned. That'll be up in exactly 1 week. That's all for now, so thanks for watching, and bye-bye.